What up, everybody? And welcome to episode 3 of Two Guys, One Moop. And I am joined by the most wonderful person ever, Mr. Brando Comics.
Yeah, it was supposed to be me doing the greeting, guys. Sorry. Little, still getting the hang of this.
Unscripted, bitch.
All right, raw.
Yep.
But,
All right, man. So, what do we have anything to discuss before we jump into today's topic? Has there been anything crazy going on in the world with well, everybody's on lockdown still, so probably not.
Yes, that's right. We actually got our viewer count up because a lot of you are stuck at home bored.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's crazy pandemic out there right now. I just came back from the store. There's still no toilet paper. People are going crazy.
I actually found some this weekend.
You did?
I did, but I mean, my mom asked me, she was like, hey, I like a specific type of toilet paper. Just if you happen to see it, can you pick me some up? Because I'm already squared away.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, sure. And I had to go to the grocery and pick up some stuff. And I saw a bunch, but it's all nothing but Quilted Northern.
Really?
Yeah, that's it. That's all we had.
Is that like a bad brand? I don't know.
Dude, it's one of those fake soft brands.
Oh.
It's like, oh, super soft, but it feels like sandpaper on your asshole.
I mean, my asshole's pretty calloused, so I don't really feel a difference in anything.
Well, then you'd be all right with the Quilted Northern.
I mean, it sounds nice. Quilted Northern.
That sounds nice, but it's like, oh, fuck, it's dirt brand. It's like the next step up from Great Value.
Oh, that's the Walmart brand, right?
There you go. Yes.
I don't know. It's shit paper at the end of the day.
That's true. And I mean, you got to wipe.
Yeah. But no, we do hope everybody out there is staying safe and staying indoors and social distancing and all that. We make jokes, but it is very serious. And I really hope this ends very soon so everybody can go back out to your normal activities and going back to work and not needing to watch us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still hope you decide to stick with us.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But I mean, we'll see if that happens.
It will, because we're that fucking awesome.
Oh, get some. All right.
I don't know. Well, Fuzz here chose the topic this week. It's pretty cool. He's more versed in it than I am, but I'm up for a challenge. Today's topic, we're going to just talk about horror books in general. Like, we'll talk a little bit about, like, the pre-code horror stuff, like the EC stuff with, the weird fantasy and Vault of Horror, crime and suspense stories, and obviously Tales from the Crypt. But I also, because like I'm such a big horror fan, that it's not just those. It's a lot of the newer stuff, because there's some super like newer writers that are just hammering in the horror aspect of things. And we're also going to discuss one of my personal like wonders of the world, and that is, why are there not anthology books anymore? Like, good question.
I always loved that old like Ghostly Tales from Charleston Comics, and even Ghosts from DC Comics, Witching Hour, all that. There were like 3 or 4 mini stories in one book. And I always loved that, like as a kid and shit. And even as an adult. And like, you just don't see that anymore unless it's like a fucking holiday special.
True.
So we're going to get into a little bit of that. So we hope you guys enjoy the ride. And
yes.
Have fun with us.
And we're very excited for this week's Moop of the Week. Can't wait to get to that.
Excited. I'm so excited.
We changed it up last night at like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
Just cause it's totally worth it.
But I promise we're going back to last week, or we're going back to the one we had too, because you fuckers
absolutely
get it. But all right, man. So well, I'll go ahead and I'll start with asking you a question more so. And like, what is your like run on any type of horror book?
Like, are you a fan of them? Has it been something that you've just never really been into? Or, like, what's your take on the whole horror genre as a whole?
I don't mind the whole horror genre. I think a lot of it's pretty cool. I think a lot of it is like overly recycled, if that
I
makes
can see.
sense. It's always a vampire or a zombie, something along those lines. But I also have never really been a huge fan of the horror films, and I noticed actually it's not necessarily just because I don't like them, because I do. They're entertaining enough, but like I've been with my wife for 11 years. My wife absolutely hates anything horror. She's a little scaredy
Okay.
cat.
Yeah.
So I skip out on a lot of the movies, and I guess that kind of cut into my reading habits because I'm like a big also outside of comics and stuff. My biggest genre of things that I read is like fantasy, Lord of the
Okay.
Rings, Hobbit, stuff like that. I also
Got
like the
it.
old like ancient Greek tales like Thermopylae, Gates of Fire, things like that. So I never really got too much into the horror stuff. I had a few things growing up. Like I watched Tales from the Crypt because my mother is more the horror person than me, ironically, mom.
Oh,
But
yes.
I do read some stuff. I was going to get into it later in the conversation, but and I'll get into it more. But Lock and Key totally pulled me in.
Yeah.
I think
Hmm.
it's great. So we'll talk more about that. But yeah, the
And I think,
EC stuff is more your area.
oh, the EC stuff is some of my favorite shit. But like, not only is it because of like the horror elements and stuff, it's the art one, and it's the way that if that's how motherfuckers talk to people in the 1950s. It is my favorite shit ever because the way that men talk to women in these books is just money. Like if you check out the post I put up on the Two Guys One Moop Instagram page last night, if you actually read the dialogue, the dude says, "And you never told me, you little idiot." And the other thing I always really, really enjoyed is apparently nobody in the 50s got divorced. They just fucking murdered their significant other.
Yeah.
That's just how they took care of it. It was just like, all right, man. Well, this woman's never going to give me a divorce, so I got to devise this crazy ass plan where I just stab her to death. But I always liked a lot of that stuff. And then as I, got older and stuff, and got into more like other books too, because I'm also horror is my favorite genre amongst comics, movies, actual books, everything. Like I think I've read Bram Stoker's Dracula and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein
Oh wow.
at least fuck at this point in my life. I think I just finished Frankenstein again on audiobook at work, and it was probably like my 30th time reading and or listening to that book.
It is a good book. That
And I
book I
mean,
can dig.
yeah, I know it's fantastic, and the way that they're both kind of written, I really really enjoyed. Like Dracula is literally written from letters sent back and forth, so I always thought that was really fun. But I just fell in love with the horror genre as a kid. I grew up watching, sneak watching Tales from the Crypt episodes from the stairwell when I was supposed to be in bed. My mom and was watching it. I'd be like, "Oh shit,
Oh, what's that?
get a little peeky peek." But yeah, so I grew up a lot on horror and I just fell in love with it and it's just continued over the years. And I mean, I'm more of a collector of the old EC books, but like I'm poor. So I get the reprints, which is just fine to me.
That's just
I mean,
fine.
I would love to own an original, but fucking that's not in the cards right now.
Yeah, we can't all be Sam's.
Oh.
We love you
We love you so much.
so
But
much.
seriously, you fucking so much money.
Yeah, so much.
But
Yeah.
some of the artists that like I want to get into real quick, I'm just going to run down a list of artists that I think are pretty impactful in the horror genre. And I have Johnny Craig, obviously, Reed Crandall, Jack Davis, Graham Ingalls, and for like the newer, you got people like Ben Temple Smith, Mike Mignola, yeah, Richard Corbin, Eric Powell, and Bernie Wrightson, and I mean Bernie Wrightson's not really more modern, but you know. But yeah, like those are some of the most impactful horror artists to me. Like because when you see their art instantly, you're like, bam, that's a Wrightson piece. Bam, that's Mignola. Bam, that's Eric Goon or Eric Powell. Sorry, Eric Goon.
How upset are you with yourself right now that you mispronounced your Lord and Savior's name?
I'm pretty upset. I'm gonna go outside when we're all done with this, and I'm gonna take my shirt off, and I'm gonna get my old like BD stick and just fucking wail on my back.
Oh, can I watch?
I'll take a video for you for sure.
Yes. No, that's you named some solid people. Absolutely, 100%. They're all very recognizable to me. Like I said, just because I didn't read it doesn't mean I don't know who he's talking about. And
Right.
After this conversation, I'm gonna go read some more stuff because Fuzz here definitely opened up my eyes. Because I was the other kid. I am obsessed my whole entire life with everything like dystopian. You know, Wells, all that. 1984, The Giver. Like it's all started because I had to read The Giver back in school. So that was my thing. But yeah, horror. I'll definitely check some more of it out. And just can't be around my wife when I do it. Like Pornhub.
Well. But yeah, but no, I mean, like, and that was the thing for me too, is I fell in love with Poe, and I fell in love with H.P. Lovecraft, and you know, even oh God, what was the guy's name? He's a really, really old writer. Oh, his name escapes me right now. Damn it. All right, I'll have to come back to that if I actually remember. But and some of the writers, man, some of the writers of all this stuff, like it's really hard to track down a lot of the writers of the old EC stuff, because like most of the stuff, like it's just really hard to track them down, and like you'd be sitting on Google for hours and hours and hours. So even though those dudes wrote amazing stuff, I'm sure they worked with a couple of writers and a lot of different artists. But like some of the writers that stick out in my mind, new, old, are a person like Steve Niles. He wrote 30 Days a Night. He wrote Batman. Oh, I want to say it's Gotham After Midnight. He wrote
I'm not
that.
too familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's really cool. It was either a 6 or 12 issue series. It was really good. And then you have Len Wein, who obviously wrote a lot of Swamp Thing, and I mean, obviously he wrote tons of shit, but like I really enjoyed his Swamp Thing stuff. Obviously, my Lord and Savior, dude. I'm just saying Mignola because I'm not trying to mess it up anymore.
Mignola.
And then you have somebody like Eric Powell, who has started. He actually started a couple of anthology books here recently called Spook House, and he's put them out under his Albatross Funny Books. And my favorite like newer guy that I've gotten into is Cullen Bunn, and he's wrote, you know, Harrow County, Black Manor. He wrote Blood Feud. He's wrote so much cool stuff. So I mean, that's like some of the mass amount of horror writers and stuff. And I know there's other horror series that I haven't checked into yet. Like I've heard a lot that Infidel was really good, and I actually had no idea that was a horror book.
I don't either. Actually, that was one of my wanna reads. Interesting.
Yeah, apparently it's a horror book.
So. I will say all those old books, this is where I'll give it 1,000% credit. Every time I see a very old EC horror book, it is some of the best cover art I've ever seen, because it's just so saturated with the colors and it's just so detailed. Well, I will give it that.
Yeah, dude. It's just
real sweet.
And like it's just one of those things that when you see one, and if you see one in good enough condition, you're like, holy shit. And then the guy behind the booth is like, yeah, holy shit. Because I just went to a little con a couple of months back, and there was a guy that had some original Weird Fantasy books, and literally the cover was almost off Like you could see that the cover was almost attached, and this guy still wanted 250. And I was like,
yeah, a lot of that fetches a lot of money.
I was like, not for a book that's almost fucking got a detached cover. I was like, not that I'm going to be able to afford that shit anyway, but
some of those definitely fetch quite a bit of money. And shout out to one guy that I know that has a lot of really awesome horror covers, Strange Spaceman. Mike
oh yes,
has some really solid books in his collection that are horror themed and old EC.
And another dude actually that has quite a few is CV Strange.
Oh, that's right.
He has got a lot of cool shit too. And they're both big time old horror guys too.
I mean, we're talking about books like these EC comics, for those who are not too familiar about it. Like this was back in the 40s and the 50s.
Yes.
Like think about these crazy stories and some of this crazy art that all the way back then. Like that's why it was so controversial back then, because we're talking about back in the day where like do you see swimsuits from that era? Now think of just having like a person on the cover with their head getting cut off.
Exactly.
Back in that era. It's pretty crazy. So EC Comics, they call it EC Comics. So what I thought was funny is EC stands for Entertainment Comics, and now we call it EC Comics, so it's Entertainment Comics.
Yes.
But they have a lot of shit.
If I remember correctly, I'm not 100% sure, so none of you motherfuckers quote me on this, but I want to say that when they first started, EC actually stood for Educational Comics.
Really? I did not know.
I want to say that's true. Like I said, I'm not 100%, but I think after somebody else took over, I don't know if it was Bill Gaines or not. I don't know if Bill Gaines changed it to entertainment or not, but yeah, I want to say early on it stood for Educational Comics.
That's really cool. I know that. Because when I did a little bit of the research for this, I saw that they did a lot. They did some sci-fi, romance, crime, war, fantasy, western, and even funny stuff. But we're focusing on the horror today.
Yes.
So from EC Comics to now, where are we?
What, in the horror game? You don't get stuff like that anymore.
So you think we declined?
Well, I wouldn't say we really declined per se. Like, I just think there's different people are telling way different stories now. Like most of those old stories were like pulpy. They were like old pulp stories because that was also the era of like radio plays and shit. You know, and I love all those.
I love those. Yes, that's why I got a big smile.
Absolutely love old radio plays. But a lot of those were like it was super taboo to write stories like that. And now you fast forward to today, not a lot is really off limits to write about.
No, you even have the government telling you not to eat ass now to stop the spread of coronavirus. We've come a long way.
Right. So like I think you really like in the terms of everything, you really have to put yourself in the mindset when you watch an old 50s horror movie or, you know, earlier than that even. You have to put yourself in the mindset of the people that were watching it then, not now. Because now you're just like, ooh, it's fucking stupid. I've seen all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
But back then, like, it was fucking scary, man. Giant fish man comes out of the water and grabs your girl, and you shoot him with a gun and nothing's working. Like, that shit's pretty scary.
Yeah, and that was all makeup and costume.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything's CG today.
Yes, absolutely. There are some cool people that still like to rely on practical effect. Like I know what's his name? Walking Dead guy, Greg Nicotero.
Yeah.
He's still very big on the old prosthetics and stuff. So that's cool. I mean, you still got some people that cling to the days of cool makeup and shit. But like that's some people. Well, I mean, other people just it's easier and it saves money. So why not is how everybody feels anymore.
Yeah, why not?
And I think
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, why not just have Andy Serkis put on one of those suits and walk around as everything and do a killer job of it? But
Oh yeah.
Nothing's funnier to me than when I see the post-production, some of the stuff, not post-production, like behind the scenes. Like I know I'm gonna get so much shit on for this, especially from you, Paul. But in Twilight, there's a picture that I saw and it was so funny. This wasn't I don't think it was Andy Serkis. But when she's petting Jacob as the wolf.
Yeah.
And then you see the behind the scenes and it's just a man like this. And he's getting pet by her. And I'm just like, yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah, that's fucking weird, man.
It is. When you see it after, it's pretty odd. But
I
now,
don't know, man. You
I don't know.
couldn't find just a big fucking dog.
Or just I don't know. It just puts it into perspective. But
Yeah.
how would it look if you had a guy walking around in a giant like wolf costume? Like, would that be? I think that would totally cheapen the movie, which is to some people unsavable. But you know what? Fuck you.
I love that Twilight is going to probably last the entirety of whatever podcast we are on, whatever episode. We could do 100 episodes, and I promise Twilight's probably still going to get mentioned.
You're welcome for that.
But see, and that's the thing, though, is like that's another thing that like I think took a lot of people like out of the horror genre was movies like Warm Bodies was the one with the zombie, right? Okay. So you got movies like that where they take these characters that have been like just drenched in horror forever and you're supposed to be scared of them, and then all of a sudden you humanize the fuck out of them. And people are like, oh man, I'd like to hear this more human story about Dracula or fucking a zombie. Like, who wants to hear a fucking love story about a goddamn zombie? I'm sorry, I just don't get it.
I don't know. Turn that into a werewolf and a vampire, and you got me hooked.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, but yeah, another show, a very successful show, and based off of a comic. A lot of people actually don't know that this is based off of a comic. Is iZombie?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, that was super successful. I think it's canceled now.
I guess it wasn't that fucking successful. But
I mean it ran 3 seasons on the CW. I'd say that's pretty damn successful. Yeah. My wife loved it.
Yeah, not One Tree Hill level, Sam, but successful.
Oh, by the way, a quick update. I still haven't watched that Gilmore Girls episode yet.
I chose that episode for you specifically because of the title of the episode.
Okay. Well, I'm going to watch it still. I'm just hooked on something else at the moment that we will discuss later.
Oh, yes. I fucking did that shit last night. Me and my wife said, wait, not going to talk about it yet, though. But back to the horror comics.
Absolutely.
I'm the more modern guy with that. I wrote this down because I didn't want to forget to throw it out there. Dark Horse, Shadows on the Grave, Richard Corbin. Yes. I did read that. That was pretty sweet. You mentioned 30 Days of Night. I'm talking about the more modern 30 Days of Night, I guess. Like one that just came out not that long ago. I want to say it was 30 Days of Night. They came out with a new one, and it's like
it's a 6-issue run.
Yeah, when they're in like Antarctica.
I think that's what it is. I haven't finished reading it.
That wasn't too bad. I enjoyed that. This is I was saving this one, but this is totally me. I'm an Archie head. A lot of people don't know that. Big time Archie guy. I love all that. I love Riverdale, all that good stuff. So Jughead the Hunger, I've thoroughly enjoyed. Yeah. So much so I don't want to talk about it to even remotely spoil it. Just go read it.
I'm gonna have to check that out because I'm not an Archie guy at all, but I love horror, and you throw werewolves in something, and I'm gonna at least check it out.
Yeah,
but even Sabrina though, they slapped more of a horror element on recently.
Yeah, they darkened it definitely for sure. Yeah. I don't know if you caught this latest season that just dropped. I binge watched that also. It got more graphic, and I'm happy for that.
Yeah, I haven't even finished the first season. I think I watched like 3 episodes. Dude, I suck at watching TV. Everybody knows that. I suck. Well, another show though that is actually a comic as well that Netflix just dropped recently, but it dropped a little bit before Lock and Key, so I think it got swept under. Is actually the October Faction.
I didn't see that.
That is fucking real good.
Okay.
Like that's super good, and the book's fantastic too. I'm actually hoping to finish that here soon and actually do a review of that with a hot sauce. So
Oh, that's cool.
that should
No,
be.
see, stuff like this, like I said, is so difficult for me to watch. 'Cause I don't watch anything by myself. I'm a Netflix and cuddle kind of guy with my wife. Cuddle,
that's nice.
you sick fucks. No, but so I can't like you recommended a movie the other night, something about the grave.
Oh yeah, The Grave. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, so I played the trailer and I'm like, oh okay, I can watch this, and I just look at my wife and she's like, all right. So we ended up renting for $20, Bloodshot, aka to me blood shit. Sorry for those who like that movie.
Yeah, but I mean,
it was mildly entertaining, but
oh fuck. I'm just saying, for the sake of your wife, you could have saved $20 and actually watched a really interesting movie.
dude, I don't argue with my wife.
I know,
anything.
I know.
Like, because dude, she literally she tries. I'll give her that. Honey, if you're watching this, which I'm gonna make you watch later, I love you because she tries. We've gone. You know what? What really fucked me for this whole watching horror movies is I rented. I don't remember the name of it. It was the movie with the demon in a box. It's called the Dybbuk box, and it had Modest Yahoo in it too.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
the
the entire
box.
time. Yes, I don't even. I do have a blanket, and this is actually really appropriate for who we're going to talk about later. This is her the whole time.
I'm sorry.
So this is her the whole time watching it.
Yeah. I can understand.
So like, I'm not gonna waste her time. I'm not gonna waste my time because I do enjoy watching, movies with my wife, and we do have discussions about it afterwards. Like, dude, I'm quick after every single movie to quickly go and Google it. I wanna learn more about it and become obsessed.
Right.
So I like to have discussions about it. So
Yeah.
sorry we didn't watch The Grave. Maybe I'll watch it. You know what? I'll make you a fucking deal. You watch that goddamn Gilmore Girls episode, and I'll watch that Grave movie. All right?
All right, rock on it. Sounds good.
Because we already made a deal for you to watch it for my birthday, but you told me to go fuck myself. So sorry.
I didn't. No. I didn't tell you to go fuck yourself. I got a fucking goddamn toothache.
Oh, that's right.
Was crippled for about 6 days.
It's all right. We'll watch it together.
All right.
I'm gonna call you and say, "All right, ready? Press play in 3, 2, 1." I used to do that with my friends for Jurassic Park on VHS.
Really?
Yeah, I'd call and be like, "Ready? Press play now." And we would sit there on the phone, I guess, just hearing each other breathing while we watched Jurassic Park.
That's the fucking best shit ever. Oh,
I've always been
holy
weird.
shit.
Anyway, I said this now twice. We're going back and forth. Back to so I know what you really wanted to get into also was why don't people do anthology books anymore? And I actually needed him to explain to me anthology. I'm not that stupid. I knew what he was talking about, or I thought I knew what he was talking about, and I was right. The anthology Fuzz is...
It's basically one book that has several little stories inside of the one book. So, like the old Vault of Horror, like the old EC stuff, like it was one story was a couple of I want to say with a lot of the Vault of Horror, like the first story was told by the old witch, the second story was told by the Vault Keeper, and the third story was told by the Crypt Keeper, and that was kind of that was the planning of the three stories throughout the book. And then you had stuff like House of Mystery and House of Secrets that were hosted by Cain and Abel. I believe it was Cain was House of Mystery and Abel was House of Secrets. So, and I absolutely loved all that, like mini stories inside one story, like especially when it came to horror. Like, I don't know if it would work if it would work in today's deal with like any type of superhero book. And but like for the horror genre of stuff, I think it would still work. Like
Mini
I
stories.
just feel mini stories. Like, I mean, obviously I don't know if there's just a market for it anymore though. You know what I mean? And maybe that's why it went away.
Yeah, I made some points because when you told me this, I wrote down, as always, everybody knows everything though, but because you posed a question to me, why don't people do anthology books anymore?
Right.
And I think my end of it is not only for comics now specifically, it's I think a money thing, meaning they want to focus on whatever's a super popular character and bleed that character dry for as much money as they can. So leave you hanging, continuation, like a longer story. Because I think, and don't shit on me for this, comic books back in the day were intended, but not the horror stuff, but comic books in general were intended for children and kids.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, obviously, that's more a switch because they still make kids comics, but as a whole, they aim comic book stories for older people like me and you and everybody else to enjoy. I'm never going to knock that. I'm a kid myself reading these.
Absolutely.
But I feel that the anthologies were more also for people that had a lower attention span. You could knock out a story in a few pages, then another one, then another one, then another one, and also the timing of issues, because some of these books these days they're coming out weekly.
That's true. Okay, that is true.
It's honestly easier to make one big story, in my opinion, and chop it up into multiple issues that can span a year plus. They'll leave people hanging, wanting more, than needing to come up with a brand new plot for even a few pages.
That could be true too. Well, and I mean, I think you make a lot of really good points, and it also could come down to the fact that like maybe people just don't want to do it anymore, because an anthology book is probably a lot of fucking work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
A lot of
you gotta
artists and writers.
Yeah, exactly. So like those, like I said, the Spook House stuff that Eric Powell started doing. I think those are like, I think there's Spook House 1 and Spook House 2, but I think there's only like 4 or 5 books in each run of Spook House books. And then actually, there's one that I actually forgot until just now. It popped into my head that I actually started reading. I think the closest thing we've gotten to an anthology book recently is actually that Ice Cream Man book.
Oh, yes, you're right. Actually, there you go.
And that has that old element. You have the Ice Cream Man as your host, and he's weird, demonic, or creepy, and he tells 2 to 3 stories an issue, I believe.
Yep.
And that's up to what, 21?
I think it's
22?
21 or 22.
21 or 22 issues at this point. So that's one book that I actually forgot about until just now that is super good. If you haven't read any of that, that shit is a blast. But that is probably the only case of something. But see, that was the thing, though, is like I really felt that book took off. So I don't know if it's the specific guy that writes the book. I don't know if it's the art style of the book that made people want to go out and get this book. But I know when issue 1 came out, I lucked into it by walking into my comic shop, and I looked at the shelf and they didn't have any. And I was talking to the kid behind the counter, and I was like, man, and he's like, what are you looking for? I was like, I was looking for that Ice Cream Man 1. And he was like, I got one if you want it. I was like, you sure? He's like, yeah, dude, I read it. He's like, it's just not my thing. I was like, yeah, I can take it. Sure. Ended up getting it. So.
Yeah, I got a copy of issue number 1 too. You know who I got it from?
From me.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right. Full circle, jerk.
Yes. Absolutely.
But yeah, I dig anthologies, especially for quick reads, because I don't have a lot of time to read, so I actually would prefer some anthology style books now, because I feel everything's evolved into the decompressed comic. Also, like they if you're not going to have a full run of something or an event, the decompressed comic. What I'm talking about is like the less dialogue and less words, and really focus on the art, because art has evolved so much over the years, and there's so much competition out there. Now, I'm talking about back in the day. If you flip through an old comic, every single panel, majority of the time, had tons of words, tons of dialogue, everything. Now you can open it up and it's both pages, big splash page of nothing, And the example I put is nothing but someone just walking down the street with no words.
That is true.
And it's mostly heavily apparent. I think it was adopted because that's becoming more popular now from manga, because that's very common. Is you'll have full double pages of nothing but just art, and that really
That could be true. I mean, I've never read any manga books. Like I've told you on the side and told a couple other people, like I'm not a huge anime guy. Like there's a few that I really, really enjoy, but like for the most part, I have sat down, turned something on, got like an episode or two in, and I'm just like, this shit ain't for me.
even the tentacle stuff.
No, definitely not the tentacle stuff. I saw Wicked City when I was, oh God, how old was I? I think I was 13 years old the first time I saw Wicked City. And I don't know if you've seen Wicked City.
Nope.
There, at the very beginning of Wicked City, a dude picks up a lady at a bar. They go back to a hotel or his apartment or something. He goes in the bathroom to get nude because he's about to jammy jam. He comes out. This woman turned into a spider. Nah, not a normal spider. A fucking spider where her vagina is the fucking spider's mouth. And that's when I realized, like, hey, man, I don't know if this shit's for me.
Spider vagina is not for you.
Oh, no, not in my world.
A succubus.
Dude, I'm telling you, fucking weirded me out. I'm 13, so like I'm in my prime of, like, oh, boobs, but like then I see this shit and I'm just like, nope, I don't even know what to do with that. I'm done. Bop, stop the VHS right there.
Is that what it's supposed to look like?
Right. Is that what happens?
The answer is no.
Is that what happens when you meet a girl and you fall in love? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No. So I think they should bring back some anthology. You definitely opened my mind up for this, welcoming it back. And I have read some. I'm going to cheat a little on this because I think one of the top Mr. Freeze stories, one of my favorite books, comics, was actually an anthology. And that is Batman Adventures Holiday Special #1.
There you go.
So we could still do that and pull it off because that's widely successful.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you can throw the horror genre in that because things like The Walking Dead have definitely pushed more people's interest in the horror genre. Because I noticed too that after The Walking Dead became popular, it kind of mulled out a lot more.
Oh, absolutely. And see, like something like The Walking Dead, though, like that, I feel is awesome. It's a great story, but I also feel like in today's world with a horror story, you have a hard time stretching it 100 and some odd issues. Because like I feel like horror is one of those things that's best served either in an anthology or in a 6-issue or 12-issue run. Something that's very short, very compacted. I don't think a horror book does well long term. And the examples I can give for that is like actually a lot of Hellboy stuff. Because I think the longest issue-wise Hellboy story is The Wild Hunt. And that's only 8 issues. But it's super powerful. Everything gets explained. It's really awesome. But the cool thing that Hellboy does is like even though it's only a little clip issue run, everything intertwines in some way, which I really, really enjoy. And that's probably why I fell head over heels in love with Hellboy, is because the whole thing, man. And like, it's jumping from every book. Like even the Lobster Johnson stuff, there are hints of Hellboy stuff in those Lobster Johnson stories. And then obviously Lobster with the BPRD and shit like that, man. I mean, there's so much cool stuff. And I just feel like a lot of people just kind of pass over on horror stuff because they're like, oh, fucking zombies, those mummies, and
same shit over and over and over and
yeah,
over.
Of course.
Recycle.
But like, oh yeah. But I mean, Isn't everything at this point fucking recycled?
True. True.
So
It's funny that people like me will complain that the stories are recycled over and over and over, but we'll consistently read like pretty much almost all fucking Venom stories are the same. And I'll just keep reading those. So
yeah, but I mean, like I said, I mean, you find a formula that works, it's hard to go away from it.
that's true. Oh, here's a good horror. Well, I'm cheating again with this one. You know, Brubaker, one of my number one dudes.
Absolutely.
Batal, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Mythology, yeah.
Dude, almost. I wouldn't 100% classify it Kill or Be Killed. I almost wouldn't 100% classify it as a horror book, but there are definitely horror elements.
There is.
You know what I mean? Like,
please read that, everyone.
Kill or Be Killed. Yeah,
Yes.
it's fucking good. Super good. Absolutely good.
But yeah, that's pretty much it for my horror. I'm pretty limited. Oh, I remember this one. The Carrion Death, Shock Suspense Stories, number
Yes.
9.
Absolutely.
That's a big famous one. That was.
Mhm.
I love that. The thing that I love the most about the old horror stuff, though, the little bit that I read, is you always have this douche.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
You know he's getting fucked.
That's what I mean. Like that's what I'm saying. That's what's so great about those old books. It's because they're so shitty. Like you almost don't even feel bad. Like I read one the other day. Damn, I wish I could remember the name of it. It's in a big collection that I saw on Comixology. The name of the big compilation of these stories is called Thing from the Grave. And this whole story, I was like, this dude. I actually took a couple screenshots that I got to send to you because like it takes place in Greece.
Oh,
This story does. Like this dude apparently his grandpa died or some shit. And he inherited a bunch of money. So he's going all over the world and just finding random broads and, having his, fun time and then dipping. Well, he meets this one chick and he tells her to not get married to this dude because he's so much better and he loves her. So he has his way with her, except for when he's driving him back to the town, he wrecks his car and disfigures her. And there's a whole conversation between the dude that was supposed to marry the chick and the dude that messed it up. And he's like, you need to marry her now, even though she's disfigured and shit. And the guy's like, marry her? I wasn't going to marry her in the first place. Fuck this broad. I'm just like you can't not fucking root for that guy to get his comeuppance.
Oh, absolutely. I love when D-bags get theirs. Love it. Love it.
Best. It's the best. But yeah, man, I mean, and like I think the other thing about horror through the years, though, isn't so much that we all fell in love with the stories. It was we fell in love with these artists.
Agreed.
Like we fell in love with Bernie Wrightson and his insane way of drawing. We fell in love with Johnny Craig and Jack Davis and the way that they did all those old covers for the EC Tales from the Crypt, Vault of Horror and shit. Just because it was so cool. Like me personally, one of my all-time faves is Richard Corbin. Because I feel like Richard Corbin draws like horror shit super well. But like one cool thing that I found out actually, just Googling around and actually listening to a couple of different podcasts was Steve Ditko. Steve Ditko used to do a lot of horror shit. He did a lot of horror art, specifically for Charleston Comics. Like it was crazy though, because I guess he had such a relationship. They could just kind of pull him whenever they wanted to. Like they just call him up and they'd be like, "Hey, Steve, we need you to do some art on this book." And he's like, "All right, fuck, I'm not doing anything." Even if he was doing something, he was like, "Nah, fuck it, boop."
Yeah,
and
he always liked the strange. He always liked the strange stuff. Like case in point, Doctor Strange.
Yeah,
like, really out there artwork.
Yeah, that is true.
But I'm glad he found something to do after he got the big D from Mr. Stan.
Mr. Lee. The big D,
the big D
from Mr. Lee.
Lee.
Oh, man. Nicely done. Couldn't have wrote that shit on paper. But all right, man. Well, I think we have talked our talk about the horror, and I hope a lot of people that don't read horror books or anything like that, hopefully they like can find a way in and find a book. Like, I know there's tons of horror shit that I haven't read. And I mean, if you have anything, like, drop it in the comments, guys. Like, be like, oh, you've never read such and such. You got to check that shit out too if you're really into a horror book. Because I know I am, and I'm sure you are. It's always interesting to have something new to read and something new to check out when you actually have the time.
Agreed.
So, and I mean, we all have fucking time right now, don't we?
Yeah, so fucking do what we say. I can't even think straight right now. I'm so excited about the next portion of this.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get it started.
The Moop of the week.
Ooh.
I'm just going to show you a picture first, and then Fuzz will say who it is.
Ooh. Oh, boy, I don't know if you can see that sweet, sweet mullet, but that's Joe Exotic right there, boys and girls.
Joe motherfucking Exotic, the Tiger King.
The Tiger King.
Man.
Oh, boy. Yeah, where to start on this fucking thing? Because the Moop, okay, the Moop of the week this week is Joe Exotic, but it's kind of collectively all of them fucking folks down there.
What a show. Please watch this. It's a documentary. It's fucking wild.
Oh, wow.
It's shit you just never imagined really happened in real life.
No, God, no. Holy shit.
Exists.
I actually have a funny story real quick, though, before we dive too deep. We took a vacation down to Florida last year or the year before. Took my kid to Disney World for the first time ever. We were down there for a week. One of the days, I was looking through one of those books that they have in the hotel lobby. It's like, hey, look at all this cool shit to do around here. Almost went to the Big Cat Rescue.
Really?
I did. Almost went.
It's so fucking that would have been awesome, man.
It would have been fantastic, but we didn't end up going. We ended up going on a pirate ship instead, and it was fucking way cooler.
Oh, that's cool too. No, but Joe Exotic, ladies and gentlemen, what a character. This guy is so in love with himself. He thinks he's untouchable. Fuzz hasn't seen all the episodes yet. I'm trying so hard not to spoil it for you or anyone else, but oh my God. If you watch this, even if you just watch 10 minutes of the first episode, you're going to understand why we chose this guy to be the Moop of the week. Literally last minute, 1 o'clock in the morning today / last night, we were like, nah, we gotta
talk about this.
It's a story about a guy who has big cats, tigers, ligers, lions, whole nine, and exotic animals.
Yes.
And how much of a cutthroat business that this all really is.
Man.
And
it's fucking madness, dude. Like, these people are cutthroat. They are emailing to shut everyone else down. They are flying helicopters over and taking videos of other people's parks to say that this is bullshit and this person says this. But the best thing is, even through all of this shit, Joe Exotic is just man, he is just like if Neon was a person. If Neon was a person, it's fucking Joe Exotic.
Yes.
I swear to God.
Absolutely. This guy dresses like a cowboy every day. He has a peroxide, like, bleached mullet. He's incredibly flamboyant. He's got piercings. He's literally always walks around with 2 6-shooters at his hip. He's very, very, like I said, very flamboyant. And we're not saying this in a negative way. He's a gay man, and he owns it, and he's the man with it.
Oh, yeah.
But why is he a Moop? Because this guy gives 0 fucks about anything or anyone that he screws over.
Nope.
Who he fucks along the way.
Dude.
And he's literally about himself. Like, he's very much about himself. And people like that drive me up a wall because they're entertaining, But like, if when you get further into the series, you see this guy really just truly is just like a sack of shit.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the thing is I think a lot of the thing I've learned from the 3 episodes I've seen through two and a half roughly. I still got like 15 minutes to go on episode 3. But like they're all just awful humans.
Very bad.
Like
suck.
Like it's insane how awful these people are. Like you laugh because it is fucking funny that these people are so batshit crazy. But if you strip away the hilarity of it all, you just get down to the fact that these people are fucking evil. They're just
terrible,
awful.
Terrible people.
They're just awful fucking people. And honestly, like it couldn't be a better Moop for the week that we're talking about horror, because fuck, this is a horror story, man.
It's a horror story. You have animal abuse. You have murder plots. You have a murder conspiracy. Like
Don't
in
forget
this shit.
meth.
Oh yeah. Sprinkle in here the sprinkle of meth. Like this guy, I'm gonna just spoil one thing. This guy is a polygamist, and he's a gay man, and he basically fed meth to these 2 young, very young, straight, identified as straight men, to marry him and do sexual things with him and his Prince Albert penis piercing that he's so proud of, and just fed the meth to do it. Like this guy is just fucking unbelievable. This guy ran for governor. This guy ran for president. It's insane. Please watch.
Fucking nutcase. Please watch Tiger King.
Tiger King. So Joe Exotic, you, my friend, are the Moop of the week.
And rounding this out, because we really, really care about everybody else that creates and does cool shit, just like what we're doing here. We want to give a couple of people some shout outs this week. And I will go first. Is our buddy Sam, and he does a podcast called We Podcast and We Know Things. You can follow them on IG. I'm sure they have a Twitter. I'm sure there's a Facebook. You can download their stuff, I know, on Spotify. Pretty much all podcasting services you can find. We Podcast and We Know Things. So definitely check them out if you're checking this video out or following either myself, El Fuzzo, or the beautiful Brando comics. I'm going to keep saying it.
That's Brando _comics, all right?
That's Booty Daddy.
Booty Daddy. God, man. He sent a package to my house and it was addressed to Booty Daddy. The mailman's probably like,
fuck.
This guy's Joe Exotic. Actually, he's really the Booty Daddy.
Yeah, he is the Booty Daddy. Holy shit. He's the real life Booty Daddy.
But yes, like Fuzz said, we do take this, we want to expand. We definitely do shout outs for people that are well deserved. We like to help other people grow their channels and things. And we don't even need it back. It'd be appreciated, but still. But another one I definitely want to mention, very big. It hits. He says a lot of topics that hit close to home. His name is Juan. He goes by the Instagram handle of inked_Jedi. Yes. His YouTube channel is Inked Jedi. Please check him out. We're gonna try to throw in pictures of both of them in.
Yes.
He talks a lot from the heart. He has a vlog. He talks about how he's a retail worker during this crisis, how a lot of people focus on nurses, doctors, first responders, but don't always look to the other people that are keeping the shelves stocked. And just all his topics are really, really, from the heart. So I want to support him. I watch all his videos. We try to throw him out there because we do a BS comedy style, cast, and he's the more serious cast. And he's who I go to when I want to have that serious moment, actually think of things beyond what we talk about. So
it's true. Sorry.
Yeah. So we podcast, we know things, and Inked Jedi. Check him out on YouTube.
Absolutely. And keep subscribing and keep watching these videos, man, because we're having a good time, and I hope you guys are having a good time watching us be fucking retarded.
All unscripted and raw. And also, I don't know if we'll be able to do this, but check out our Instagram. We just made it. We'd like to throw that out there also because Not even because we want to get famous, because we don't need to be famous to know we're beautiful. But we just want suggestions. We love to hear from all you guys. We love
absolutely
just interacting. Just having fun.
Man, because I mean that's the most fun of doing this is like I absolutely talk to you every single day. So and we have super fun conversations about everything. So why not fucking podcast it?
That's right.
But at the same time, like it'd be cool to fucking hear topics and ideas and who other people think are shitty people. You know, I'm all about it because ain't nobody safe except for anybody that my wife works with because I'm not allowed to. I was told that's off limits. Okay. None of those people.
Okay. Well, my wife has a unending supply of moops to give me if we ever run out. But
that's true. No, so yeah, if Netflix keeps pumping out these fucking documentaries, we're gonna have unlimited supply too.
And Joe Exotic, this message is for you.
Thank you guys so much, man. We hope you guys come back to visit us next week. Peace.
Thank you very much. Stay safe.